Sometimes, tension or frustration builds for years and nothing happens. Then, everything changes. The situation boils over. Today, you'll learn what it means when a situation boils over. Hi everyone, I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, episode number 870 on Thursday, June 4th, 2026. On Thursdays, we talk about English expressions, and today's expression is boil over. A few years ago, we did a story about Chile. Back in 2019, the government raised the subway fares by just a few cents, and that increase in the price of a ride led to riots and intense protests. But it wasn't only about the subway. Tensions had been building for many years. The subway fare was just the last thing before people's patience ran out. And that's the exact kind of situation in which we use boil over. So that's how this expression first appeared in plain English. Now you're ready to learn boil over. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. Now we're going to talk about the English phrasal verb boil over. Before we get into it, I want you to think about a pot of water on the stove, and it's full to the top. And you turn the stove on, and nothing really happens. And then, after a minute or so, the temperature starts to rise, but still, there's no real change. And then gradually, you start to see some bubbles at the bottom, but things are still under control. And next, what happens? The bubbles reach the surface. And remember, this is a pot of water full to the top. And if you leave the heat on high long enough, the water boils over. The boiling water spills over the side, and you have a hot, watery mess on your hands. So keep that image in mind when we talk about emotions boiling over. When emotions boil over, they go from being under control to being out of control. They go from being something orderly to being something messy. When we talk about boil over, we frequently use words associated with emotion. The two most common emotions to use with boil over are anger and frustration. In today's lesson about Chile, I gave you some background on why they were drafting a new constitution. In 2019, the government raised the price of a subway fare by a very small amount. But by that time, people were already frustrated with inequality and the current government. Their frustration boiled over into violent protests. Santiago and other cities were badly damaged by these protests. The government was in shock. Just to lower the temperature, the government agreed to establish a process to write a new constitution. So we say their frustration boiled over. The frustration was always there. It was real. It was legitimate. It was intensely felt. But before the increase in subway fares, people weren't setting fires to subway stations. After the fare increase, the frustration boiled over. It got to a point where it was out of control. You can say this about a specific person too. We've all been in a situation that makes us angry. Most of us can control that anger most of the time. But sometimes our anger does boil over. If your anger boils over, you might say things you regret. You might take actions that you wouldn't take in a moment of calm. If anger boils over between two people, there might be pushing and shoving or worse. So you can sometimes say, tension boils over. Tension is like a feeling of discomfort between two people. And if two people or two sides don't trust each other, you can say tensions are high. Both sides are on alert. Both sides are nervous. But at least outwardly, things are under control. Tensions are high between the US and China these days. About a month ago, a high-ranking congresswoman from the US went to visit Taiwan. And more people started asking, will tensions boil over between the US and China? Will the situation, which is at least under control right now, will the situation start to boil over? Will the two countries lose control over the situation? Now, luckily, the situation did not boil over. We'll explore that in a future lesson. But the tensions remain, and people might be asking all over again if the situation will boil over. Perfect. There we go. Boil over. This was episode number 870, so you can read along with the transcript and find the full lesson at plainenglish.com/870. We'll be back Monday with a new story. See you then. Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, you can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com.